Oh, we're live on Hogs Vlog again. I'm just getting off a little Norton antivirus there. But how good's the cricket been over the weekend? And we've got some good tours coming up, some important tours in the test arena. Got South Africa over there in New Zealand at the moment. Sri Lanka taking on India. India really need to pounce on Sri Lanka to really get up the table in the ICC Test Championship. And we got Pakistan taking on Australia as well. So there's plenty of questions to come our way in the test arena. But it's been T20 cricket going on. We've got the PSL final just happened, and we've also had India playing Sri Lanka. So let's roll bumper and get into the talking points and then to your questions. Roll bumper, Shubs. Right, guys, I've just had a little bit of a change in my office as well. I've got a new desk, so the microphone sits a little bit better. But Indian pace, that's what we're talking about, the depth in Indian pace in T20 cricket. It is exceptional. If I'm picking a team for the T20 World Cup for India, I am going to find it hard to put Bhuvneshwar Kumar in there and Deepak Chahar, the swing bowlers from India, with the way that Siraj and Avish Khan and Harsha Patel have been bowling. Just adding that depth, and then you've got Boomer and Shami to come in. So for me, India are starting to build up depth in their quick department, and they've probably got the best spin depth as well. So when you're looking at a T20 World Cup moving forward, you need your defensive play in the game and on top of it. And India are moving forward to the next T20 World Cup in Australia, having the best defensive outfit going into that particular tournament. Their batters up the top two are just exploding. Iyer, how good's he? KKR, best selection in the IPL tournament this year with the way that he is batting out the present moment. India are just too good, but we're talking about the bowlers there. Next talking point. I want to get straight into the questions as quick as possible, so I'm trying to get this done within 5 minutes. Talking points 3 and 5 for India against Sri Lanka in the test team. Who's going to be batting there without Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane? Those two have been moved on. I think, well, you're going to have Agarwal opening with the batting with Rohit Sharma. And I think Gill, the youngster, you're going to have to slot him out number 3 in between experience. You have the youngster in there, let him grow out number 3. I think he might be suited there. It would have been nice to have Prithvi Shaw out number 3, I would have thought. But Gill at the moment in the squad. And I'd give Iyer another go at number 5. He's played 2 test matches. They're all over there in Indian conditions. He's got 150 in the first test match. Give him another go. I'm leaving Vihari out at the present moment. I just think Iyer and Gill have got more or a bigger, brighter future and more longevity than Vihari in Test cricket. That's why I've gone for those two. Okay, let's go over to the next talking point. For all the Pakistan fans out there, the PSL final. What a wonderful PSL it has been. The Multan Sultans won just about every game except for 2, and both times they were beaten by Lahore Qalandars. And when you look at this final match, it was a great matchup for the Multan Sultans because they had plenty of overs of spin, and it was only Fakhar Zaman that was good against spin and could dominate that department. All the other batsmen, yes, they can play, but they don't have strong strike rates like Fakhar Zaman. And Fakhar Zaman was gone early, but they fought their way through, and they only got 67 runs off 11 overs of spin, but they got 111 runs, Lahore Qalandars, off 9 overs of pace to get 180 on the board. And when you're batting second in a final, and Multan Sultans have got a very explosive batting lineup, but the pressure just mounted on them, and the likes of Haris Rauf and what's his name? Oh, God, Shaheen Afridi were just too good for the Multan Sultans. And at the end of the day, if you've got the better bowling attack, the better pace attack, are you always going to win? And Lahore Calanders, when the moment counted, they took the prize. I was going to say something else there, but we can't really say that using hog or bacon for Pakistan viewers over there. But anyway, that's my points. We're going to get up to the questions, but while Chubbs is getting the questions ready, just want to point out a few things happening over in South Africa. Iwi and Vereen, two young players making hundreds for South Africa, stepping up and taking the void with the Cocknock being there. So well done to those two youngsters. It's great to see youngsters really dominating world cricket or just coming on a centre stage. And Mitchell and de Grandum with their batting displays as well in that test match. So well done down there. Now, Shubs, have we got the questions up, please, mate? Let's get that first question up. Hey, Capel. Burma, good to see you again. What about Shreyas Iyer batting ability with strike rate? I am absolutely loving the way that he is batting. There's only one thing with Shreyas Iyer, Kumara, the fastest bowler from Sri Lanka. He started to move around a bit. There was one in the second match where he moved across, then backed away at the same time on the same ball, and Kumara bowled a foolish delivery, and it was quite embarrassing to look at. But then he did it in the third game, and Kumara bowled the shorter delivery, and he whacked it over backward point, and that put pressure on Kumara. And then he just stood in a position where Kumara was going full, and he was just working through the leg side and a couple of cover drives. So he's starting to really work on that small weakness of his is that batting against higher pace. But when the ball's 140 and under, and against spin, he is unbelievable. So he's got a small bit of growth to go, but I reckon by the end of this year, he's going to be on top of that extra pace as well. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. KKR have got a good deal with Shreyas Iyer there, batting in the top order, and that's going to help or take pressure off Andre Russell down that lower order for KKR. But Shreyas Iyer, top dog. Hey, Capel, thanks very much for joining me on Hogs Vlog. Next question, please, Shubs. Better get my glasses. I'm 51 now. I'm getting a little blind. Rakesh Rao. RK, how you going, mate? I'm going well. Even though India is going on a good run in T20, Rohit Sharma is not at all satisfied with the overall performances. Can you pinpoint that? Oh, look, you all. This is a sign of a good team. This is a sign that a team is growing. I think he'll be looking at a couple of areas in the death overs and probably the spin in the middle overs. I think that he thinks that the spin can have a little bit more variety. But if I was looking at Kuldeep Yadav, I was looking at Jadeja, very good quality bowlers, but when under pressure, opposition teams are able to get to them. So Kuldeep Yadav, Sri Lankans wanted to sweep him. He doesn't really have a ball to counteract that. And when it's not turning, Jadeja sometimes bowls a little quicker and sometimes he's easy to hit down the ground. So that's a little area there. And then out the death overs, you'd like them to just be a little bit more assertive there. And in the batting as well, you look at the power play. They dominated in the power play there. They're batting through just partnerships. But the thing is, with India there, they're chopping and changing their team. They're giving a lot of opportunities to other players. So for me, I think it's a good sign. There's not too many holes there. Just those little holes there that you really want to execute to the best of your ability, because if you're dominating the death overs and your spin overs in the middle with the bowling department, you're going to win most T20 games. Okay, so they're probably the areas that he's looking at. But in the batting department, there's a lot of pressure on players. They're playing for spots, and every now and then they might be a little tentative out there. So that's another thing that he might be looking at there. But India, for me, the T20 World Cup down here in Australia, they're going to be tough to beat. They are going to be tough to beat down here, and they've had a lot of exposure here in Australian conditions with that extra bounce and the way that they're playing up in Dharmasharma there, where the ball is moving very much like Australia. It's looking good. It's looking good for India. And Australia have got a few holes in their T20 team too. Their top order's not firing, so they've got a few question marks on their home soil. Good question there, Rakesh. That's really making me think, and I'm going to think about that and do a bit more of a vlog at the end of the week on that probably. Black FF, how you going, mate? Who can be the X factor for CSK in this season? Let me just get that up. Who is in the CSK team? Let me get this over here. Lucky I've got my little spreadsheet there. A lot of CSK fans. For me, you've got Garkawalder up at the top of the order, but I think let's see what team I've got. You've got Mo and Ali there, but for me, it's down that lower order. In that middle order, Righty-o and Utapa out 4 and 5. They've got to lift and take the pressure off the lower order. So for me, it's Garkawald and Utapa Righty-o, but I'm also going to go with Conway opening the batting. I think he could be the dark horse. You had Faf du Plessis there doing the job, but Conway coming in the left-hander, the way that he plays for New Zealand, I think he can play a huge role and bat through the innings and out the back end, really do a Faf du Plessis job. So Conway is the man for me in that particular team. Hope you agree with that. Get your comments down, Black FF. And CSK, they did really well in the auction, and they've got a very, very good balanced team. I'm just looking at the little squad that they've got up there, and the way that they choose younger players as well. And they how can I put it? They want to have growth in younger players. They pick a lot of young talent there, and hopefully one of those younger talents can come through like a Garkawald, and they have a bargain for 3 or 4 years. So CSK very smart out the auction table. All right, Shubs, let's get into the next question. Thanks very much, Black FF. Gods of cricket, what Australia can do to win in Pakistan? Well, it's going to be tough over in Pakistan. Pakistan have got a couple of injuries, so they can capitalise on that. Fahim, the all-rounder in that lower order, that's going to be a big loss for them, and Hassan Ali. So they're a little depleted in the bowling department and the all-round department. That's where Australia can capitalise, but it's very tough over in Pakistan conditions. With all the test playing nations, all the countries around the world, the most draws or percentage draws with test matches happens in Pakistan. So to get an outright result is very difficult. So Australia, if they want to get those results, they're going to have to chase the game. And that's what that means is if they're playing a more attacking game, Pakistan have got to have that defensive game to wear Australia out. So for me, Australia having success in the first test match is vital because you don't want your fast bowlers bowling too longer or having too long in the field over a 3 test match series. You want it short and sharp so that they can have their explosive bowlers again in the second test match. If that doesn't happen, that's where Pakistan can take Australia to the cleaners on their home soil. Spin over in Pakistan. Yes, they've taken a couple of spinners over there to cover it, but I don't think spin is going to play a huge impact. It's more the pace. It's batting friendly conditions over there. It's about your fast bowlers just drying it up, putting pressure on the opposition batsman, and really it's going to be a battle of the bowlers over there in Pakistan. So for me, it's our bowling department. And this is where they might, if they want to play 2 spinners, frontline spinners, they might bring in Mitchell Marsh instead of Travis Head over in Pakistan, so that you've got an extra bowling option in the pace department and you're not putting too much pressure on Green to bowl more overs if they go with 2 spinners and 2 frontline quick. So just watch out for that one. But it's up to the bowlers, gods of cricket. Gee, that's a good question. Thanks very much for that. Shubs, next question. Austin Dacuna, how are you going, mate? I haven't spoken to you for a while. Is captaincy pressure affecting Rohit's batting? Average 20 in 9 white ball games versus West Indies, Sri Lanka. Yes, he's struggling there. Should Virat and Rohit open in T20s? Your ideal Indian 11, assuming T20 World Cup is tomorrow and all fit. For me, if you're going to have Virat Kohli in the team, he's got to be opening the batting with Rohit Sharma. I'd like to have Kishan in at number Oh, no, you've got Pant there. I'd like to have Pant coming in at number 4. Iyer coming in at number 3. I think he's done a wonderful job there. You would try and maybe get KL Rahul in at some stage, but you'd have Jadeja out 6. I might even think about having, hopefully Hardik Pandya is fit out this stage with both bat and ball, coming in at 6 and 7 with Jadeja there. I'd have Siraj in my lineup, Boomerang and Shami. They're my 3 quicks. And the spinner that I'd have in there, I'd probably have Chahal. So have I got the batting right there? Am I looking at a number 5 there? A number 5. I'm looking for another explosive bat there. What have I got? Rowett, Kohli, Iyer, Pant, Jadeja out 6. I'm looking for a number 5. Can you help me out with a number 5? That would be the big question there. Who would I have at number 5? I'd probably even have young Kishan in at number 5. Just an extra left-handed bat in there, because you just want to have that variety in there. So that's probably my playing 11 at the present moment. Virat Kohli's got to open the batting. Otherwise, number 5, Surya Kumar Yadav. How can I forget about him? Sorry about that. Surya Kumar Yadav coming in at number 5. I think he is the bee's knees there. And if Hardik Pandya is not right, Venkatesh Iyer coming in at number 6, Jadeja coming in at number 7. That's my ideal World Cup team. So much chopping and changing from Rohit Sharma. But Rohit Sharma's got to get his form right, because this captaincy pressure in all 3 formats, if it's going to affect his batting, well, India don't want to change that leadership role too early in the piece. Good question there, Austin D'Cunha. Okay, Shubs, next question, please, mate. There we go. Farhan Nafin, do you think that the modern cricket should heavily depend on all-rounder rather than genuine bowlers? No, I think you've got to have frontline bowlers. You've got to have specialist bowlers. You just can't have all-rounders. And to get frontline all-rounders that are quality bowlers is very difficult to perform in all 3 formats. It's a lot of pressure on there. So for me, you need specialists in roles, because your defensive game in Test cricket, you need to get 20 wickets. So you've got to have good quality bowlers in that game. In 50-over cricket and T20 cricket, you need good death bowlers, and you need spin in those middle overs, and you need good swing bowlers up front. So you need those quality bowlers in that department. If you don't have a good defensive game in all 3 formats of the game, you're not going to win too many matches. So for me, you've got to have specialist bowlers, and Australia's very lucky that they've got a lot of all-rounders there. Pakistan's got some all-rounders. India have got some all-rounders in there. Very lucky in that department. But you don't go out there searching for all-rounders. When they come, you utilise them to your best ability in the 11. But for me, frontline bowlers are key, Farhan. But very good question. Very, very good question. Shubs, next question, please. Ayesh Shikar, how you going? Hi, Hoggy. What's your prediction for upcoming Women's World Cup? Who will lift the trophy? Look, for me, I think Australia are definitely number 1. But India have been trying a few things down there in New Zealand. They've had that long preparation for the leading into the World Cup. So for me, they are prime and ready to excel. They've got the ability to beat all the top teams. So they're starting to grow in depth. They've got good, some decent bowlers in that little lineup. So that's good. England, New Zealand, the West Indies, I think, are going to be hard to beat. But for me, India have got to capitalise. They are going places with their team. They've got to capitalise on the time that they spent over there in New Zealand. They troubled New Zealand in that last game, which was really good. You can see the improvement there. And it's just about belief. Now, if I go back through the World Cups that we're involved with, especially the one in 2007, I think we lost 4 or 5 games before that 2007 World Cup. But we're chopping and changing our team, and we're just trying to find a couple of players to get a bit of confidence in case we needed them through injury in that World Cup over in the West Indies. And sometimes having a few losses before you go into the World Cup is a little better because it gives you a little bit, it gives you more humility. Can you use that word? Or you're a little bit more humble before you go into the tournament. You're not expecting the big results. You're the underdog, and being the underdog, that's where you can come in and make a little bit of a difference and make a few inroads. And look, India have got the ability to beat Australia over there. So for me, Australia and India will play in the finals. I think those two will play in the grand final, and I think New Zealand and maybe South Africa or the West Indies will be the next team. I don't think England will get there. That's the way I see it. Good question there, Ayush. And I'm really looking forward to a good T20 World Cup. There we go. Shaveen Goal. Hoggy, why, while defending the 19th over, is considered most important, and while first bowling the 20th over is most important? Please do lives late as it's 8 a.m. in India. Just wait for my exam today. All right, so you want me to do it at 8 o'clock? Is that right, Shubs? 8 o'clock? Shubs will be behind the desk. So, yeah, we'll try and start that next time at 8 a.m. Good feedback there. Defending in the 19th over, you want to take pressure off that final over. But for me, every over is important. You want to apply the pressure on there. But I don't know why people just say the 19th over is the ultimate over. Because every over is vitally important in there. And I just remember Brett Lee. This is probably Brett Lee were playing England, and England needed something like 6 off the final over, and Brett was out the top of his mark. I was out mid off, and he goes, "I love these moments with my ball in the with the ball in the hand, and it's all against me. It's in the batter's favour, and I just want to win that game." So it doesn't matter what over is 19th or the 20th over. When you've got the ball in the hand, you want to do the job for your team. And for me, it's having the best bowler in that final over to do the job. So someone like a Jasper Boomer, if he's needing 6 to defend on that final over, with the way that he's got the slower balls, the dominant Yorker, the quicker bouncer, he's capable of defending 6 in the last over. So for me, I don't know why commentators keep saying the 19th over is the most important over. For me, it's every over leading up to it, and making sure that you have your best bowler in that last over to defend whatever total is still left in the left on the scorecard. So that's the way I go about it. I don't know why. I don't like people talking about the 19th over. It's about lining it up so that your best bowler has to bowl that final over when they're defending a score. Good question there, Shavin Goal. But I'm pretty sure a lot of other people would have different opinions to me with that. Kishan Mystery. Hi, Hoggy. How should RCB use its potential, as they are a squad full of potential? Now, when I first looked at RCB, I thought, right, they've done exactly what they've done before. They don't have that batting depth, but still they're going in there with the same problems that they had the previous years with a number 3 and who they're going to bat out number 5. But their bowling department is sensational. And having Faf du Plessis out the top of the order with Kohli, it's a better opening partnership, more experienced. And you've got Faf du Plessis, who's explosive, and you've got Kohli, who can bat through the innings and play that back end game where he is so strong, where he can take the game away. Remember, Virat Kohli, when he bats through an innings in that final 5 overs, he's got one of the highest strike rates of any batsman out the death. So that's a good setup for RCB. Who they bat out 3 will be a key question mark. If they lose an early wicket, they're going to come in with a number 3. If they get through the power play, or it's 5th and 6th over, they'll come in with Glenn Maxwell. Kartik coming in at 4. That adds depth. He's someone not as good as AB de Villiers, but can do the same job. But this is where they're really strong. Now, they've got Saranga from Sri Lanka, the leg spinner, who can be explosive with the bat. And then you look at their bowlers, Siraj, Patel, and Hazlewood. good pace department there. And just with a little bit of inexperience with spin, that pace department can apply the pressure so that opposition teams have to go harder out spin, and that's where the spin comes into play. And not, how can I say, the batsmen not respecting those lesser spinners that RCB have got. That's where spin can really take advantage and get those cheap wickets with the batsmen having to go harder out them. So for me, RCB are quite well set up with better all-rounders down that lower order, but a stronger opening partnership. So that's where I think RCB could just about take it out this year. I'm liking it. It's going to be interesting to see who captains that team. I'd get Duplessis to captain it. Okay, next question. Thanks very much, Kishan Mystery. Rowan Yeoli, how are you going, mate? I remember you from a couple of lives ago. Good to see you again. Hope you remember me. Who will be the key figure for Australia to win Test series in Pakistan? For me, I think it's going to be in the opening department. I think they've got to open with Khawaja up the top of the order. And for me, I think he is going to be key in the batting department. It's going to be very, very emotional for him playing on the in the country of birth. So he's a big key. And for me, it's how well Cameron Green and the middle order stand up as well. So Cameron Green, Head, or Mitchell Marsh, whichever one they go between Mitchell Marsh and Head, those two are key. Now, remember, against England, Australia whitewashed England. There's no doubt about that. But it was key moments where England didn't take their catches. They bowled David Warner off a no ball. And if they took those chances, the series could have been completely different, and there would have been a lot of pressure on that middle order. So for Pakistan, it's about applying as much pressure as you can on that middle order early in the piece of the Test series. So for me, they're the three key players for Australia to stand up against this Pakistan attack. So Head, Green, and Khawaja. If Marsh plays instead of Head, well, Marsh is the key. So good question, that Rowan Yoli. And I hope you enjoy the series over there as well. So we've got another question. I'm really enjoying this. Ramesh Dakarapu. I hope I said that right. Did I say that right, Shubs? You can jump in any time if I got it wrong. Which team is the best T20 team in the World Cup? Well, Australia was, because they won the last World Cup. But for me, going forward in the next World Cup, it's going to be very difficult to beat India. It just depends on what venues India are going to be playing on. That might determine their fate, because if they end up having to play on the more bouncier wickets, the bouncier tracks, and who they play against on those bouncier tracks could play a key factor as well. That's the only thing that is going to stop India winning the T20 World Cup down here in Australia. The wickets against the bouncier wickets, and the teams that they play against on those bouncier wickets will be the big test for India. But other than that, I think they've got the team to beat Australia down here and any other team down here on Australian soil. I think New Zealand will be a big one too in that World Cup. So I think you were talking about the Men's World Cup there, because we've already talked about the Women's World Cup earlier. Thanks very much for that question, Ramesh. Okay. When I talk about India, that they've just got too much bowling depth and too much explosiveness in their batting up the top of the order. Shivan Goel, what's your opinion on Delhi Capitals? Which will they do if Mitchell Marsh and Warner are not available in starting matches? I think David Warner is available. I don't think Mitchell Marsh will be available. But let's look at their team before I get to that. You've got Shaw, Warner, Marsh, Pant, Powell, Sarfaraz Khan, and this is where they're a little bit exposed out that number six phase, but I reckon Sarfaraz Khan, he's been in this system for a while. He's got a lift. Axar Patel, Thakur, Kuldeep, Norki, and Sakaria. They have got still a quality team. When Marsh is gone, look, I think they might Well, I think they might go for an extra overseas bowler and play an inexperienced Indian batsman up the top, just give him a little bit of exposure early on the piece, and they might just try and find another bit of Indian talent that is going to have that opportunity to bat early on in the piece so that they can find a player in that number 6 role that can give them a little bit of depth in the batting department. So for me, when Mitchell Marsh is not there, I think they'll go for an extra quick from the overseas department and play a younger Indian batsman. And I don't know who they would actually play out of that list. So for me, who have they got in there? They might even give Dool, the young 19-year-old who did well in that the under-19 World Cup, a go, just to see what he's got and try and get him in that middle order for the Delhi Capitals early on to give him a little bit of exposure in IPL cricket, because you've picked him, you want to see what he's got, and if you've got something good, well, for the longevity of your squad moving forward, there's so much upside for him. So I think they'll play Dool with an overseas quick. There we go. We've worked that one out. Shivan Goal. Remember, there's 10 teams in the IPL this year, and there's been a lot of chop and changes with the mega auction. That's why I've got the notes up there, just to make sure I've got all the teams right. I've got most of them covered, but I just want to make sure I don't get it wrong for you guys there. I don't like using too many notes, but I had to do that for the IPL auction. Next question, please, Shups. Shivan Gool. I love that. Sahal Shah. How are you? Please share KKR best playing 11. Okay, let's click it over. Sorry for taking my eye off the screen, but this is where I'd play Iyer and Rahane opening the batting. Okay, now the reason why I've got Rahane opening the batting, because he can use the timing, ball coming onto the bat, and pick up some valuable runs in the power play. And if you're going to have Rahane in your team, you've got to use him in those first 6 overs. You can't have him coming in later in the innings. So you've got the attacking Iyer with Rahane. Then you've got Shreyas Iyer coming in at number 3. What a top order is that? So you've got 2 attacking players around a more correct player in Rahane. Then you've got Rana coming in. Sam Billings, I'd have him number 5 as your keeper as well. Got a lot of energy behind the stumps. Russell out 6. Cummins out 7. Narayan out 8. But I'd use Narayan as a bit of a floater. If there's spin on in the middle overs, I would utilise him to go out there and just try and take the bowling attack on. And if he gets away with it, then it takes a lot of pressure off Russell coming in the back end. Umesh Yadav and Mavi and Chakravarti. Now, Umesh Yadav, he's going to have to step up. He's a high-quality bowler, and we haven't seen the best of him in IPL cricket. And Mavi, he's had a lot of exposure over the last couple of years. He's got good pace. He's got the good skills. And it's time for him to go to the next level with that experience that he's gained over the last couple of years. But I'm really liking where KKR are at the moment. I thought they recruited quite well in the IPL auction, and they've gone again with their same game plan. They have match winners that they recruited early on, and then they pick the players to go around those match winners. Now, thanks very much for joining me live on Hogs Vlog, guys. I hope you really have enjoyed the cricket over the last couple of weeks, but let's enjoy the India-Sri Lankan series. There's so much on the line there for both teams, especially India. They need to go up the table. And Australia versus Pakistan, that is a big one too for the top of the table clash. I think they're 2 and 3 at the moment on the World Test Championship. And South Africa versus New Zealand. South Africa, good fight back after their poor performance in the first Test match. Really love it when teams turn things around when they're in foreign conditions. But guys, stay safe, enjoy your cricket, and hope all is well with families and your workspaces. Thanks, guys.